Getting some breaking news on the case regarding Fed Governor Cook. Let's get to Eamon Javers. Hey, Eamon.
Carl, that's right. The Supreme Court is saying it's going to have arguments in January of 2026 on this case involving Lisa Cook and the Federal Reserve. Remember, the president's been trying to push her out with allegations of mortgage fraud. A lower court had ruled that she could stay on the Federal Reserve Board while the case was pending. The Trump administration filed asking for a stay of that decision. They wanted to fire her immediately. And in this new order just released within the past couple of moments, they're saying the application for a stay presented to the Chief Justice and by him referred to the court is deferred pending oral argument in January of 2026. So that means that Lisa Cook will be able to stay on the Federal Reserve Board through those arguments in January of 2026 and then pending the outcome of this case ultimately. So a defeat here for the Trump administration, a win for Lisa Cook's legal team. But it does not mean that she is necessarily out of the woods here in terms of this argument. But it does mean that we should see the Supreme Court take this up in January, guys. Back over to you.
So what happens between now and January? Do we know? Is this punted to another court to look into these allegations, or it's still in the hands of the Justice Department?
There is no other court other than the Supreme Court, right? That's as far as you can appeal. So it's going to be up to the Supreme Court to adjudicate what happens here. But that won't happen until these oral arguments, which they're saying in this order just released, will happen in January of 26. So between now and then, it's status quo, right?
It's not on whether he's allowed to fire her.
Right. I mean, presumably on the fraud allegations, the Trump administration is going to continue to dig to look for evidence to back up their case that she committed fraud, and her legal team will continue to dig to find evidence that she didn't commit fraud. So that discovery, that investigation will be ongoing, and you might get leaks out of that process during the months to come that will be embarrassing for one side or the other. But ultimately, this is going to be up to the Supreme Court. That's the highest court in the land, and they're not going to take it up until January.
Yeah. All right. So between now and then, Lisa Cook stays on the Fed. Let's bring in Steve Leisman, find out what the implications of that are. Steve, she's not going anywhere.
She's not going anywhere, and it's deferred, David, until January, when, of course, the Fed itself will undergo a bunch of changes. You'll have new presidents come in to govern, and also you'll have that Stephen Myron Fed governorship come up again. So there'll be additional changes, but at least it seems through the October and the December meetings, which are the two remaining ones for the year, there'll be stability, and we won't be reporting ahead of the meeting that we're not sure how many people will be voting, as we did for the September meeting. So there'll be some stability on the board through then, and then they'll undergo some changes. What's interesting then, by the way, is in February, I believe, it could be March, the Federal Reserve Board will vote to reappoint the presidents. And this is where it's key. If the president and the administration, David, want to make that change on the Federal Reserve, among the Federal Reserve presidents, they need a majority of the Federal Reserve Board. Unclear at this point. I'm reading this very short order, but the stay is deferred pending established briefing schedule for amicus curiae and a summit meeting, pending oral arguments. So maybe it can be decided in January, but maybe perhaps after that.
Right, Steve. Yeah, I mean, it can sometimes you can have a significant interregnum between when the case is argued and when you hear from the Supreme Court.
Right.
But sometimes they can do it in a much more a quicker fashion as well. Steve, while we got you here, just in terms of, reaction to the ADP number this morning and the likes, and what we can expect given where the Fed is right now, and obviously given that Lisa Cook will remain one of the members.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with ADP is always that it's not very good on a month-to-month basis, but when you take a step back and you use 3-month averages compared to the BLS, along with the BLS revisions, and then even 1-year averages, it's a much better indicator. It's why I'm not very concerned about not having Friday's jobs numbers or even another month, but over time, you lose contact. Now, ADP, of course, re-benchmarked its numbers this year, so that caused a downward revision. But according to ADP, we're in negative territory when it comes to the jobs report. And you saw what happened to the bond market, a big rally there, as well as in the Fed funds, where now there's a lot more confidence in an October cut and a December cut as well. and they're working on a third cut in January or March as well. So all of this is telling the market that the Fed is going to be more concerned about jobs, or increasingly concerned about jobs, relative to the concern about inflation than it has been.
Yeah, and of course, when it comes to jobs, we are at this point certainly not likely to get the jobs number on Friday, given the current shutdown. Steve, thank you. Steve Leisman, of course, reporting along with Eamon Javers.